Hey boss, so today I want to talk about vaccine mandate, yes or no. So today's talk is really going to be as a result of an article that I recently read by Karen Michael. She's an HR attorney here in Richmond, Virginia, and I really wanted to share her insight as an attorney, as an HR attorney, and what you might be thinking about as a boss for your team of employees in whether you're going to mandate the vaccine requirement for them to come back to work or not. So I wanted to share this article with you to give you some information on how you can move forward. Hey, I'm Dr. Heather Williamson with the Transformation Group, and welcome back to the channel. All right, so I wanted to share with you and I'm going to kind of read sections of this really because I'm not an attorney. I'm an organizational psychologist with an expertise in leadership, but not HR law. So I'll actually refer to Karen on how to move forward on this. She had written, and this is actually in LinkedIn, where she wrote this article, and it was in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, our local newspaper. So that's kind of where I pulled it from. So the COVID-19 Delta variant has forced employers to rethink return to office plans as well as vaccine mandates, while employees continue to push back on both. And just for your information, I'm going to share with you what our governor has done. And he has actually announced, I think it was last week, and today is the 23rd or 24th of August, but in a mandate that certain state employees receive the vaccine by September 1st or receive weekly testing, impacting about 122,000 employees. So just also for your information, Capital One Financial Corp and General Financial, which are two of the Richmond region's largest private employers, said workers will be required to be vaccinated in order to return to work in the office. So remote work is not looking like it has that requirement, just the in-office. Also, CNN reportedly fired 3 employees who came to the office unvaccinated. And then earlier this month, George Mason University, which is in Northern Virginia, actually a law professor sued the university over its vaccine mandates. And the professor actually argued that he has natural immunity after testing positive for COVID-19 and therefore claims that the university has no compelling interest in the mandate. Also, he argued that at the time when he was making this argument that the FDA did not even have, it wasn't even an approved drug for vaccination. Now, since actually yesterday, which was the 23rd of August, the FDA has given Pfizer approval for the vaccine. Although, just to let you know, Pfizer ran the data that to get this full approval through March 31st of this year. So at that time, there was still not a large percentage of people who have had the vaccine. And also, since then, it was actually reported in the news that because of the Delta variant, the Pfizer vaccine has shown waning effectiveness, and actually the long-term effects have not even been seen yet, but reporting that it is now 42% effective against infection of the Delta variant. So just which is different obviously from when they actually got approval based on data as of actually March 13th of 2021. And this was actually for people who are 16 years or older, and this was based on people who had one or the second shot. So in a recent poll on LinkedIn, which I thought you would be really interested in, they found that unvaccinated participants were asked what it would take to be vaccinated. Of the 167 responses, about 1/3 said FDA approval would change their mind to be vaccinated. 16% said an employer mandate would change their mind. And 2% said the $100 incentive suggested by President Joe Biden would change their mind. Although about 50% of respondents indicated that nothing would change their minds as they would not or could not be vaccinated. If this small sample is an indicator, employers are up for a challenge in retaining staff, reviewing and evaluating religious and medical exemptions, and keeping the workforce safe. And I have seen this personally in companies that I have either worked in recently or have spoken with as well. And retaining employees is going to be a huge challenge moving forward, just something to be aware of. Also, when it comes to you as the employer, employers who are mandating vaccinations need to brush up on the requirements for reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, and if you live in Virginia, there's a new law which will include reasonable accommodations for pregnancy, childbirth, and related medical conditions. So employers with as few as 6 employees must provide reasonable accommodations unless doing so would create an undue hardship. Accommodation requests from employees are being rejected under the guise of undue hardship. And this is what you have to really consider if you are an employer, which is a different and potentially more complex analysis than reasonable accommodations and direct threat. Mere inconvenience and preference do not amount to undue hardship. So keep that in mind when you are setting up your policies for your employees. Also, all of these considerations are not a one size fits all, in the box process, a protocol. So you really need to look at individuals and assess them that way. Also, for most employers, other than healthcare and those working with elderly populations, employers should be able to reasonably accommodate unvaccinated workers by requiring that they receive regular testing, maintain social distance, and if you have a mask requirement. Employers should also consider whether proof of a positive antibody test can be a substitute for the vaccine. And this is something that I think employers really should consider, is that if that individual, that employee has had COVID, then they already have the antibodies in them, which are actually have found to be longer lasting than that COVID vaccine, because actually the COVID vaccine is not a vaccine in a sense that you're never going to get COVID, because we have already found out that you have. Just think about the Democrats from Texas, who I think 7 or 8 of them came down with COVID, and then you had Obama with his 60th birthday party, and 73 or 4 people have now come down with COVID who attended that. So the vaccine actually is more of a therapeutic, in a sense that it's just kind of helping with the symptoms. It's not preventing you from getting it. So if you've had COVID, then you already have those antibodies, and employers should consider this, in my personal opinion, should consider this when it comes to coming back to work and be treated as those who have had the vaccine. Also, if it's from a religious perspective, for religion, employers cannot question the reasonableness of the religion, but can require documentation as to sincerely held religious beliefs. Employers must consider not only traditional religious exemption requests, but also non-traditional religions that may prevent an individual from receiving a vaccine. Karen also writes that employers are also inquiring as to whether they can require an applicant to certify their vaccination status in the recruitment process. So asking an applicant before an offer is made could trigger a disability-related question, because some applicants cannot be vaccinated due to medical conditions. So keep that in mind if you are hiring. Instead, employers should identify in the recruitment process that all employees will be required to demonstrate that they are fully vaccinated or produce documentation for an exemption due to a religious belief or a medical reason, and have the applicant certified that the person can meet this requirement. After doing this, the applicant will not be required to disclose his or her need for an exemption before an offer is made. But after a conditional offer is made to the applicant, the employer can then require proof of vaccination or engage in the interactive process to determine if reasonable accommodations can be made. If so, the applicant can be hired, and if not, the offer can be withdrawn. But just keep in mind that during this whole process, people are figuring things out. So information is changing rapidly. And also that when the information changes rapidly, you as the employer need to always keep in mind what is happening and also the rights of your employees. And so I thought this article by Karen Michael was really interesting and very insightful, and that's the reason why I thought I would share it with you today. I will put the link to her article down below so you have access to it. And also, last but not least, if you like this video, please like the button below. Don't forget to subscribe so you get more videos like this that will help you as a boss, as a leader in your company, to be able to know what is going on out there and being able to lead the appropriate way. And if you have any questions, please post in the comment section below. And now go out and be that boss that your employees want to work for. All right? Bye.